I don't know. She's very attractive.
I know.
I'd never seen her before. And that's not my style of video viewing.
I'd followed.
I'm into old-fashioned one-on-one stuff.
I'm just a classic guy.
There's guys out there, though, that are like, feet and DPs, that's all I watch.
Nothing gets me off like feet and DPs. Hey, cheers and welcome to From Behind the BarCast, the podcast for bartending, service industry, and drinking in general. I'm Paxton.
I'm Clint.
And that's Clint.
Hey, I'm not doing that.
Today on the podcast.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers, brother. Oh, yeah, we got a... Yeah, we had a long weekend.
Yeah.
Okay? I had a long weekend. So let's talk about what we're drinking.
So we're drinking a drink called a night in somewhere in Mexico. Yeah, yes.
Jalisco.
In a word I have, for whatever reason,
I'm trying to say
most.
Jalisco 10 times before the podcast, and every time I was like, Jalapeño, Hubris.
It got so worse.
Calico.
So bad.
I know, you kept getting further away from it.
This word has defeated me. But it's made with Blue Agave Crystal Head Vodka. Thank you, Brandon Casper and Wicked Cakes.
Oh, no
for
shit.
donating
Brandon,
this.
Oh, that's fucking dope.
So
Thanks,
shout
Brandon.
out to Wicked Cakes. We sell their desserts at Circa. It's my most popular selling desserts. They make some great cakes.
Okay.
He is the most unassuming cake maker I probably know for a hefty ex-military guy to make cakes.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But they make some damn good cakes.
What do you mean?
Chocolate ganache layer cake and a mixed berry cheesecake.
So is that exclusively where you guys get your desserts
Just
from?
those two. We also make a few of our own desserts. Yeah. Like, you make your own creme brulee and stuff.
Sure, yeah. You gotta fire up the top. You're on your own.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is all right. So as I was looking at it, it's the Crystal Head Skull Vodka, which is Dan Aykroyd. Right? But this is Blue Agave Vodka, so it's Blue Agave and it's grain.
Yes, it's grain and Blue Agave.
How is it considered vodka if it's made from Blue Agave? Is like they're 50%?
It's got to be more grain than
more
agave.
grain than Blue Agave.
I feel like the agave is probably just an accent to it. We tasted it when it was just straight, and it had like you said that petrol smell to it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely more vodka than tequila, I guess.
Right, but it's got the tequila like.
Isn't there another ingredient in tequila besides agave?
Water.
Oh, Mexican tears.
Mexican tears.
This has alien tears in it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't know about Dan Aykroyd and aliens, holy shit!
You probably just like YouTube. Dan Aykroyd talks about aliens.
Yeah,
and you'll be like, this dude is fucking insane.
Yeah, Alex Jones thinks he's insane. That's how crazy Dan Aykroyd is about aliens. It is,
and he's so passionate about it too. And it's like, Dan Aykroyd, he's like a smart guy. He writes really great scripts.
He was in Coneheads though.
He was in Coneheads, so he's like, maybe that's what changed him. He's like,
you think that got him?
So he watched Indiana Jones and the Temple Skulls or whatever. You know what I mean? And then he was like, he started finding out about that, and then he did Coneheads. He's like, oh, I'm full convert.
Yep.
Aliens brought crystal skulls to the earth,
and they had
I'm gonna make
have Conehead skull vodka.
Why hasn't he put a Conehead on these fucking things?
I bet he wants to let that go. I bet he does not like talking about Coneheads because he did it on Saturday Night Live for years, and then the movie. Was there two movies?
I only remember one.
I remember having kind of a crush on the
who didn't
the daughter.
She was the girl in Dazed and Confused. She was Randall Pink Floyd's girlfriend in Dazed and Confused.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's why And she wore their 70s pants?
Yeah, she was very attractive.
I mean, yeah, even with a goddamn Conehead.
I know. Can you imagine getting head with a Conehead?
That's literally getting domed.
You'd be getting poked. I don't know if it would work. You'd have to.
She's like, you want me to put the tip in your belly button while I do?
Speaking of Adriana Cheshire, use that Conehead for
Will
good.
Will you DP my belly?
two Coneheads are better than one.
So this is a mixture of the Blue Agave vodka tequila.
Yes.
Cilantro.
Muddled
with lime and agave nectar.
Nectar and jalapeno.
And a jalapeno.
And just cilantro crumbs because they were out of cilantro at Publix. So I picked up the last few remaining leaves.
So this man right here, they were out of the bunches of cilantro. But as happens, whenever you're pulling cilantro out of a basket, some of the leaves are going to fall. So Clint came here with a handful of rando cilantro.
I just threw them in the bag with the jalapenos. And the guy working there looked over and I was like, there's some cilantro over there. I'm like, I'm not buying a package of cilantro for $7.
Whenever these bunches would be 79 cents a piece if there were any bunches here,
So I got it for free. I mean, jalapeno is 22 cents. So what's the weight of 4 cilantro stems, I may have 1 penny for cilantro. But it worked. It's a good drink. It's got a very interesting flavor.
So
salt rim too.
The first pour, I didn't get much cilantro in it, but the second pour, it was like boom. It was like effervescent almost.
Vibrant.
You know what I mean? Because I love cilantro anyways. Like if I make salsa, I fucking kill it with cilantro.
I love pho so much. I go ham on the cilantro.
Cilantro's great in pho too because it's so fresh and it's right on top.
It's cheap.
Yeah,
so you could just chop it up and throw it on all kinds of stuff.
And it's almost like rice noodles. It whittles down. Like once it gets in the hot broth, it's just like another noodle kind of thing, except it's still got a little.
And I learned from when I first started eating pho from my buddy Poe. Shout out to Poe for teaching me how to eat pho. Thank you for probably one of the best things in my life.
He's not a Viet though. He's Chinese.
He's Chinese, but
I guess
he was all Asian food.
Yeah, right.
But. You actually put the stems in when you do pho. You put to crack it.
No, I know. Yeah, I use them as noodles.
And I would not have done that. I would have always just used
picking the leaves off.
Prior to that in my life, I just used leaves. But now I use the stems. Like this has some stems in it.
It's just like the bean sprouts. It's another crunchy.
Yeah,
fresh.
I like a lot of the accoutrements in my pho.
Me too.
Like it takes me an hour to eat a bowl.
I like all the accoutrements that aren't liquid. So like I'll put a little bit of lime in there, but like I love a million bean sprouts and fucking cilantro stems and.
Dude, Fro puts 7 limes in his pho. We went and got pho in Florida somewhere, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, you're just having lime soup.
You know, there's a great lime shortage right now, just like the great chicken wing shortage.
Do you remember that lime shortage like 10 or 11 years ago?
They were like $2 a piece or something because like at work,
you'd give them to the VIPs only.
Well, no, exactly. And when like someone would like one of the barbacks would like try and cut them or something, I'd be like, no. I'm cutting all the fucking limes tonight.
Yeah.
I have to get the most out of them, and I want to cut them correctly so that I can get the most out of each of them.
Yeah, you're like giving somebody the end piece because you're like, you're kind of a VIP.
I don't know you that well.
I was at 45 Bistro bartending then, and we would keep them, hidden out of sight behind the bar, and people would be like, oh, he's got a lime. And I'm like, sorry, he brought that in himself. It's his personal lime.
Everyone, you get 50 cents off of your drink if you bring your own lime.
You get a margarita. Ooh, yeah. It's going to be $13.
I'll use the Rose's sweet lime juice for you. You don't get real lime.
There was definitely not a lot of gimlets going on at that time.
No giblets that time.
Scurvy was running rampant in Savannah. Wasn't it caused by the cartels too?
Oh, I think you know what? That's probably true. Yeah, because like supply chain of everything can be affected if there's like a problem in the country. Cause when I went to Tulum, Mexico in 2011, in Tulum, the Zetas had just taken over. Like, they had made that their territory. They hung the mayor off of his own balcony and took over his house and shit like
Fancy.
that. So we went at like the perfect time. We were at a resort for the first 4 days because it was a music festival at a resort. But then we had a friend that lived there. Just happened to live in
Tulum.
We did not plan this around her being there, but she just fucking happened to live there, which was great. So we went and stayed with her in Tulum, and she gave us the rundown. And her boyfriend was a national from there, and he spoke enough English to be able to talk to us. And he was like our guide to not get us killed. But one day it's like 2 PM. I went to a shop to get a soccer jersey because I was just like, I want to buy. I have no idea who these teams are really, but
you wanted to get an authentic.
Exactly. But
was it made in China?
No, but I think it was made there because it only went up to like a medium.
So
the guy keeps pulling mediums out, and I'm like,
so you got like a Zeke jersey?
I'm like, look at me, man. Yeah, it looked like an undershirt for a football jersey. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm trying these things. I tried one on just to prove it to him. I was like, look.
Oh yeah.
So after he opened 3 more, and I was like, these are not going to fit me. He starts to push me out. He's like, get the fuck out. And he pushes me out. And when I get pushed out of the thing, I look down the road, and there's 2 cartel guys, for sure, that like perked up.
They're like, what's going on here?
Yeah. And I was like, boys, do not put me in a stack of tires and light it on fire. I'm not doing anything to this.
I'm leaving. I'm just too big for this store.
But so during that time, the girl that we were staying with that lived there, she worked for a textile company. And she was having problems with supply chain because so they couldn't get larges. There's just certain thing. Well, no, I don't know about the soccer jerseys. I just don't think they had larges anyways because no one's over 5'6" in Mexico. Right. But she worked for a textile company, and they had problems getting there, just like woven fabrics and shit because certain trade routes
get just cartel blocked.
And they're like, "Are you going to pay the premium to get through our piece of land here?" No.
Yeah,
well then, fuck you. I'll shoot you.
So speaking of small shirts, you ever go to Marc Jacobs? When Marc Jacobs was in Savannah, it was on the corner of Broughton downtown.
I remember seeing it, but I didn't know what Marc Jacobs stuff was.
So Well, it's apparently for Mexicans because me and my buddy V went in there. Shout out to V, I know you're listening. To get he was not.
He's
living
also
here at the
a
time.
large boy like us too.
He's a big boy, so he saw this shirt online. It said Savannah on it and like a nice picture of the sunset. So we went in there and we walked in. They were like, "Can we help you?" Like all kind of concerned why we were there. And I'm like, "It's kind of weird." I'm like, "No, we just want to get this one shirt." And they're like, "Yeah, I don't think we don't have it for you." And I'm like, "What?" So all they had was up to mediums.
Really?
And they had 100 of them.
Were they purposely capping off their
Marc
clientele?
Jacobs, yeah, they cater
like,
to
we don't want our clothes
to the slim crowd.
Yeah, because like Tim Dillon, he wears the XXL polo shirts, but they'll make them for him. He's like, these are the only clothes that fit me really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so they have an aesthetic that they want. They don't want a Marc Jacobs shirt.
Yeah, they had like medium, small, extra small was what they had. So they're being kind of rude to us. So just to be dicks, we took a medium each and put it on. I mean, got it all the way down, all stretched out, and they're like,
yes.
And the guys that work there fit this description, so they couldn't stop us from doing whatever we wanted to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they were like, wait, please.
Well,
so
you don't have a large back there? I'm going to see if I can squeeze it into
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, let's see if it'll fit. So we got it down. It was all just ruined. Took it off, and I'm like, no, that doesn't work. You're right. And we were in the middle of the store, shirtless, and just like, whatever. And these two little, like, prissy gay boys are like,
well, don't fucking push me to do that.
Yeah.
You made me do this.
Yeah, you were rude.
You were acting like a fucking dickhead, too.
Yeah.
That's like if someone walks in to the bar, and they're like, I'd like a beer. I'm like, you might want a Bud Light. I don't think you can handle a 7% IPA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No draft for you. Yeah. You got gas already.
So, speaking walking into a bar, and if you don't know the people that work there, and you're like meeting someone on a Tinder date, right? Which this happened yesterday. So I was working I have a few great stories from bartending the outside bar yesterday when it rained a little bit.
Rainy stories are good.
But so I'm and I've talked about it on the podcast before. I've had friends that have come into the bar, and if I know them and they're close to me and I like them, and whether I know they're bringing in a new girl or a new guy or whatever, if they bring them in, I'll always do my best to make them seem like as cool as possible.
Yeah, we want to help.
I'll do anything for my friends. But then on the other side of that coin, sometimes people come in that I don't really like or that I don't really know that well, and they'll try and pretend like I'm their best.
They'll try and big time,
and then I'm like, oh no, I will ruin you. I'm gonna sleep with her before you do.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like
I
will fuck you over if you try and use me as a fucking crutch. If we're not friends like that,
yeah.
But if we are friends, I'll do whatever. So, anyways, this guy comes in yesterday, and so one of the hallmarks of a Tinder date happening, and the way you can predict it, one person shows up at least 5 to 10 minutes before the other person does, right? So this guy comes in and he sits down, and he's like sort of timid, and you don't know him? I don't know him. No, okay. I didn't know either of them. So you could tell he's kind of timid, and he was just like, Bud Light. He wanted to sit down and start drinking something, so it seemed like he was already like
being casual and hanging out.
Being casual and relaxed and cool or whatever. So obviously I didn't pick up on what the situation was right at that moment. But so probably like 5 or 6 minutes pass. And this girl comes in. So I see him on the phone, and he turns, waves. I'm still kind of like they seem super familiar.
Yeah, could you do? I mean,
right away.
A fair amount of talking, beforehand.
But I didn't pin it as a Tinder date right away. So she orders whatever. Stella cider is what she got.
Okay.
So then he switched to Stella cider after she started doing that. So then I was like, "Hey, are you guys?"
So she's in charge, basically.
No, see, I think the thing was he ordered that Bud Light out of like a
reaction,
just so he'd have something in front of him. But then he was like, "Oh, you guys have the Stella cider." Like he had some familiarity with it.
Oh, okay. So he was
But he didn't look like a dude that would typically drink Stella ciders. But he kept drinking them for the rest of the time he was there.
We don't look like Stella cider guys.
Right, exactly, yeah. So he kind of, imagine us asking for a Stella cider. You know what I mean? Like
I do it like that probably.
I'm like, hey,
Stella cider.
Stella, please. But so I hear them talking, and they're doing the we don't know each other, get to know each other sort of talk, right? So it's going down, and like they're not, they end up getting food. Like when I asked them if they wanted menus, they're like, oh, did you want, they were like, it was almost like we're just meeting out here for drinks, but sure, I'll eat.
That's something. Good. I mean, that's a good sign the date's going well.
Because if you're not timid, too timid to eat in front of someone like early on, like obviously don't get like chicken wings.
And at your restaurant though, it's like 75% handheld food.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Nachos, pizza, wraps. You got to use your hand, which is
you're in
the
there.
opportunity for mess, and
Yeah,
you
for
don't
sure,
want to get messy on your Tito's and vodka shirt.
Well, and that's a nice shirt too. Well, he wasn't wearing any Marc Jacobs things, so I don't think he cared about.
I can't eat anything, or my nipples are going to poke through the shirt.
And it's cold. But so they're talking. All right, so and it seems like it's going pretty well for them. You know, I'm like, oh, this is cool. So like.
It's nice to watch that metastasize. Like, oh yeah, they're doing good here.
And I don't know either of them, but I'm pretty excited that it's going well. And they both get food, they both eat. And a little time passes, and they're not like they probably drink like 6 beers a piece or 6 ciders a piece, whatever. So then we get a little busy, so I can't like kind of eavesdrop.
Are they getting closer? Like leg rubbing going on or anything?
The only body language difference that I saw was instead of her being like directly forward. She started to lean in sort of way, but she wasn't like doing the reach out and bump them on the arm, like the typical like body language.
That awkward first.
But she wasn't not into it.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Like she had.
I'm cheering for this guy.
I know, yeah. And he was like he was being super cool, whatever. So then, like I said, I'm away my head is away from them for a few minutes, and I come back, and the first thing I heard after like a 10-minute respite of kind of eavesdropping in on him, she goes. So then I thought, I have 2 choices. I can either be a stripper or a bartender.
Oh.
I was like, where the fuck?
So you're now re-intrigued completely.
I was like, oh, I got to hear where the rest of this goes. The dude, like, had full interest up until that moment. He shut down almost completely. They had their ticket and were wrapped up within 5 minutes of that. So I don't know what happened between.
Was she a stripper or a bartender? I need to know. I need to know.
I think I heard.
Was she attractive?
Yeah, she was. I think I overheard her talking about being a bartender, like something like that, like being a bartender. So I think that she didn't.
It's odd that they're. We know not most people, but you'd recognize somebody in the industry in Savannah for the most part because you just run into them.
But see, I don't know if they were from here. I'd never seen them before.
A vacation Tinder date.
That is true.
But she could bartend in Pool, or neither one of us would know her.
She could bartend somewhere downtown at like a place that I don't go to.
Because like when I go downtown now to bartenders, I lived downtown for a while, and I worked downtown. I have all but 4 of the last 20 years, and so I used to know almost every bartender downtown. At the bars, I didn't go to 309 West or anything, or whatever that other bar where the temperature is, 47,000 degrees or whatever.
52 Celsius.
I refuse to know what temperature that bar is. But so I didn't, I used to know bartenders, but I go out now downtown, which has been very, few and far between, especially the last few years. I go out, I don't know who the hell anybody is. I'm like, I'll go to Molly's because I know there's a couple people there that I know, or I'll go, I end up going back to where I work and getting drinks en route to everywhere else because I'm going to get 1, a stronger drink, 2,
discounted or free.
Yeah, it's going to be hooked up a little bit. Versus you go some places and you get like the cup that's so small you can't fit all your fingers on it.
I'm telling you, they make the 10-ounce cups look like the 12-ounce cups now. So like even at the Quarter down here, the place with the wing pandemic where we can't get wings anymore.
Didn't have wings last week. Update, no wings last week.
I went in to pick up to-go food, and I got a soda, like a Sprite or whatever, and so they shaped their 16-ounce cup, well, what used to be 16-ounce cups, which are now 14 ounces.
Okay.
But they shaped them the same way to take off those 2 ounces of liquid.
And like, how much money are you saving making a year with that little bit of difference? Oh, and they have the short straws. It look like somebody chopped off part of it for something else.
See, all right, so it's just like when you trim your bush, your dick looks bigger.
Yeah.
All right, so if you keep the same cup shape,
you got to have smaller straws.
Smaller straws, But
they're often like McDonald's thickness straws too.
Not there, not anymore. It's all those little.
Your job,
man.
You have to drink out of a cocktail.
We
straws.
went down to cocktail straws, which I'm fucking cool with.
Yeah.
Because most people are like, "Can I get a real straw?" I'm like, "You want to bunch 4 of these up together? Because you can
tape.
have that." Yeah. But see, I prefer the little straws because like
you can eat them.
Because I can eat them. When I drink, I like to take little sips. You know what I mean? And like especially if I'm like.
Yeah, I don't buy thick straws because I'll chug a cocktail.
That's what I'm saying. You drink it so fucking fast. I mean, look, we're on this podcast, and I can probably drink one. I mean, I've already drinking like that's good. I've already drinking like 1.5 of these in like fucking 10 minutes. That's
because I'm sipping. Like when I have a straw, I always bring my own cup to the bars. I go to Sam's and buy styrofoam cups, lids, and straws. I bring it everywhere I go. When I go out, I got my cup. And just a little peek into my real life, I have a backup cup in my car when I bring my car. And there's like 5 straws in my glove box. Because one time, somebody threw my straw in the trash up at Huckapoo's,
Probably
and
me.
I was like, no, because I make my drinks, so you don't have to.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what the situation was. It was somebody that was like newer or something, and I was like, hey, make me a drink.
You're like, are you new here?
And they just asked me, like, chucked the lid and straw, and I was like, no. All right, well, I'll get another straw, and they're like, we don't have any straws, and I like went into full panic mode because I washed the lid off.
Drip of sweat.
Yeah. I'm like, you can't wash a straw, right?
No,
like you can't. So I'm like going around
There's no
asking
getting a straw back
every
up.
female. I'm like, hey, do you have straws in your car? And Rachel was like, hold on, I got a stash, but you can't see where it's at. She like disappeared and came back with a straw. She was like, this is one of 3.
So currently at Pooh's right now, there is one stash of.
I know where
straws,
they are.
But there was an accident that they ordered them. Because they weren't the straws that we would have before.
Was this because of the sea turtles?
I have no idea.
I told the lady, were you there? I don't know if you were there that afternoon that a lady was like, this was pre-pandemic, and we had straws then, and she goes, y'all shouldn't have straws. They're bad for sea turtles. We got into an argument. I was like, just because of this, I'm going to go to the beach tomorrow and stab a sea turtle in the eye with a straw.
You told her that?
Yeah, she has to talk to the manager. I was
my
like,
star.
I am the manager. And she was like, what? So she asked Mike. She was like, I need to talk to the manager. He goes, right there. And I was like, yes.
Mike is good for something.
Power move.
Tragic Mike
Power
is good
move.
for something. That's amazing.
Yeah. It was so good. It's happened like multiple times. It's happened to me twice up there. Someone's been like, I want to talk to the manager. And I was like, I am the manager. And they asked somebody else, and they were like, he's the manager. I'm like, ha ha.
That's fucking amazing. That it worked.
It worked out perfectly. One time it was because of the ring toss during the football game. Because the TV, it's outside. You can't throw the ring toss. It'll hit the TV.
Yeah.
And it was during a Georgia game. And this guy's kid was over there. And I was like, hey, man, your kid can't do that like the football game. So we tied up the string. And he kept doing it. He's like, I brought my kid here to play ring toss. I'm like, I know you don't want to play with your kid on your 1 weekend a month visitation, but maybe you should. And so eventually, scissors, clipped that ring right off. And the guy was like, what the fuck? I want to talk to the manager. I'm like, right here.
I just managed this situation right here. I'll manage another one. What's up?
He went inside and asked somebody at the bar, and they were like looking. I was staring at him. They were like, guy out there with the glasses on. And he was like, God damn it.
I can't believe.
And then by the end of he was a Georgia fan, so by the end of the game, he was trying to like high five me during plays, and like I like high five Poe to people, and I was like, not you.
Did you go, wow, skip? Wow.
I was like, yeah. Nah,
Skip.
not you, buddy. Because I'm gonna take my business elsewhere. I'm like, I'm sure they're gonna miss your 3 Bud Lights and Coca-Cola.
Dude, are you leaving? That's unfortunate. That's terrible.
It's weird that like when someone's that kind of douche, they have a stereotypical beverage. Like they're drinking like a Bud Light. There's a lot of angry Bud Light drinkers out there.
A lot of angry Bud Light drinkers. There's also a lot of angry like bourbon ginger, whiskey ginger drinkers.
Yeah. I don't drink a lot of bourbon because it makes me a little tense.
I like bourbon fine, but see the reason they drink certain things like that is they're like, what's your cheapest? They know that if they get a well bourbon, it's probably the cheapest thing in the.
But it's strong.
But it's strong, and we put ginger ale in it, they'll be like, let me get a bourbon and cuke. If they say a bourbon and cuke, I know that they're only going to give me the $3 that it costs, and they're going to want to talk to the manager after a while. Do you guys get Tinder dates a lot at your place?
I don't. I probably had 2 in the time I've been there.
Because you're mostly tourists.
Because they go to the bar.
So
they'll go to the bar instead of coming into the dining room, and we're mostly tourists, so I don't get a lot of them. But like I had a few at Lily's, and it would all but one time it was somebody I knew. They were like, "Hey, I'm going to bring a date in tonight." I was, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, and if they tell you, you can fucking get it set up.
I mean, I hammered up.
Yeah.
They sit down, champagne taster. Like, I mean, when people come in that I know, like I don't get a lot of my friends in because it's expensive to eat where I work, and it's kind of eclectic.
So you're not trying to prompt them to come there all the time. You're just like, look, I know this is.
But when you come in, like I'm going to massage the fuck out of your table.
Yeah.
And make you not have to do like just if you'll eat anything, I'll take care of it. I'll bring you food. I'll just
tell me what you like, what you don't like, and
I'll just take care of
mold something around you.
Yeah, and you'll enjoy everything. But I'm trying to think of. I haven't had any awkward Tinder dates though.
So I've had more successful ones, I think, because I think Tinder, and I've never been on.
Did that couple leave together? You when you got in, they just dipped out.
I don't think they were leaving together. They left at the same time, but
it was over.
I could tell the dude was over it because he had this air about him where he's like a good guy, a nice guy, and he wasn't looking like, which is weird. And they might not have met on Tinder. It might have been another site.
Could have been Bumble.
But the thing about Tinder is, and I've never been on a dating website because I don't need Tinder. I'm a bartender. You know what I mean? Like that's
bartender.
Right? Yeah, because like think about it. As a bartender, every girl that is in that place has to speak to you at one point.
Yeah, and it's going to, and when they're drunk, they're going to be a little flirty.
That's what I'm saying. So this dude, you could tell. So it might not have been Tinder necessarily, but I always viewed Tinder as like people meet up so they could fuck each other.
Yeah,
like let's go get drunk and fuck. And then maybe if something happened.
Yeah.
I DJ'd a wedding one time where they met on Tinder.
Oh yeah, I know a couple people that have gotten married because of Tinder.
So it can work, however, whatever. But you could tell this guy was like, he was getting on. He seemed like maybe he was a busy guy, or he had something going on where he didn't have enough time to like be social himself and like to go out there.
So it wasn't farmers only.
I mean, it kind of could have been farmers only. He was like the salt of the earth type of guy.
Okay.
So that's.
Do you think he didn't like her because he was a bartender, or she considered being? Did he seem kind of Christian-y?
I think they drank the exact same amount as each other. So each of them had beer for beer or cider for cider, right? Once she had like 4 or so, her hood started coming out.
Oh,
her
okay.
Not hood, but like her truth.
So she was from Savannah. Okay.
So it was kind of like, so then I was thinking, I was like, okay, when has anyone ever had only the choice between, I'm either going to be a bartender or a stripper?
Yeah.
Like Walmart's hiring, you know what I mean? Like you're never stuck between,
stripping and bartending.
Go to ZipRecruiter, you know what I mean? Like go to Monster.
There's a lot of things you can do besides strip and bartend.
Besides strip and bartend.
I'm so intrigued by what was the middle of that conversation.
Now, see, I wish I would have heard that.
And I guess he was either anti-bartender or she was a stripper for a while. And he was
I think, possibly, but I think when he heard like how much, because he kept it pretty to the vest. It seemed like he like wanted to get to know her, but like he wasn't going to tell her how bad he felt the other day because of him being depressed or something like that. He was keeping it on a casual level.
She was being more open than he was.
She was just
maybe she was in college and she was like, "Look, I can either strip or bartend while in college because
it's easy. It's
easy money in a short short amount of time."
I think he had a certain decorum, and that decorum left her after 4 ciders, and maybe he was like, and this could be all speculation. Like he could have just been like, "Oh, she's ugly, I'm leaving," whatever. Yeah. But I think that he was like, "Oh." If this is her, if she's already telling me about like her depth of emotional states,
that she's just too much for him.
Then this and we just met tonight. You can't imagine what she's going to be like when she's throwing up, wasted off a fucking 6 daiquiris.
Cobra Tate would have walked out too.
Yeah. Like, women should clean up unprompted.
Sparkling, still waters for poor people.
Still for poor people. So I had we talked about last week. I had a show at the Tybee Post Theater where I did like a.
I really enjoyed not going to that show.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I had to work.
You know who else enjoyed not going to it? Half of the people that bought tickets.
What the hell?
I thought it was so strange, and people were like, "Oh, it's probably because of COVID or something."
It might be because of COVID. There's a lot of old people that go there.
Who gives a fuck? Why would you buy a ticket then?
Well, they bought it 3 weeks out, and things have obviously gotten a lot worse here.
But you know what? Like whenever I talked to the promoter, Tom Cooler, whenever I talked to him 2 weeks ago, he told me we had sold X amount of tickets 2 weeks ago. And then within that 2 week span, up until the night of the show, it had like doubled. So
it happened. It's happened the last few weeks because of the podcast, probably. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, hopefully, I don't know.
But
however many, we're at like 230 unique listeners, right?
Yeah.
So
I just can't. It's just weird though.
Well, why buy a ticket? Now look, if you're like, hey, I just want to support something that's happening locally, then just donate. Well, I
guess if you buy the ticket, you're supporting that specific show versus a donation to the theater itself.
No, understood, but give your fucking ticket to someone who's not scared of going.
Did you check Craigslist to see if there was a lot of tickets on there?
Fucking
Tybee Craigslist.
And like, especially like, because, during this time, like $15 is $15, like,
yeah,
you can't have that superfluous spending. And just ask this lady that was in front of me at the store the other day.
Oh yeah, what store was this?
It's the Chews down here on Tybee, the first one, this one that's closest to my house. In our newest segment,
they sell sandwiches, right?
They do sell sandwiches. In our newest Adventures in EBT, it's going to be our new segment.
Yes.
So I'm going to clip this out and put an effect on it. Adventures in EBT. So I walk into the store the other day, and it's not a busy time of the day. Or it wouldn't typically be a busy time of the day. It's like fucking Tuesday. I was heading to work or something like that. I was going in to get a Red Bull or something like that. And walk into the store. I see there's a little bit of a line formed. I was like, oh, it looks like it's fucking 4:30 in the afternoon when like no one.
School started too, so things are slowing down.
A little bit died down, you would think, So as I walked in, I was like, oh, there's a little bit of a line forming. So normally they have 2 people on the registers. But at this time of day, they don't think that they would need the 2 people on the registers. So one's in the back, like fucking stocking or doing whatever. So I go back and I'm looking for, all right, I don't like the 11.6 ounce Red Bull can.
Okay. You want the mid size?
I don't want the 40 ounce Red Bull can.
I would explode.
I want the 20, the one in the middle, right? So they moved them or whatever. So it took me a few minutes to find it. Once I did, I turned around and the line had tripled.
So you're like, damn.
I was like, how long did I take to find this? You know, like I was in a time.
If you had the Red Bull before you tried to find it, you would have been like, aha.
Here, where's it? I'll find you. So I thought I was in like a time warp or something, like space-time continuum. I don't know. It was weird.
Dan Aykroyd was there.
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd was like, you were in a space-time. You fell through the black hole and you came out on the other side.
You now have a cone head.
Now you are going to buy my Crystal Skull vodka, but it's not vodka. It's made of.
We're going to tag Dan Aykroyd in this podcast, by the way.
So I get in this very long line, and there's this fucking old white, like, toothless, fat, 2 purses.
Oh, 2 purses, nice.
Lady up there.
Both fake designer bags, probably.
And she's continually trying to swipe this EBT card. And the lady's being real nice, and she's like, you gotta, hold on, wait till I hit the button. And she's still trying to go back to the normal credit card machine. She's like, no, we're using this machine over here. They spend about 5 real world minutes on that machine, which is like 20.
When you're trying to go to work, that's 20 minutes.
They move to the next register over to try and use the other EBT machine on the other side.
Because she's like, there's money on there, I swear.
This lady that is sitting there is not turning around and addressing what's happening behind her. Like, all right, let's say like if my debit card wasn't running.
I'd be like, my bad, y'all.
Hey, y'all, I swear I'm going to get this figured out in a second, you know?
Yeah.
Or I'd be like, hey, let them...
Yeah, I'll wait.
I'll wait. Let them come up before me.
I'm a big believer in like grocery store anywhere. If I got 30 things, you've got 2, go ahead of me.
Yeah. So, but she's not addressing anyone behind her at all. So this goes on for another 5 minutes. I guess they can't get it to work on the other machine. I don't know if you run out of money on EBT. I don't know I don't know how it works, but whatever the fuck happened, she pulls out a $20 bill and pays for her Diet Cokes and her 2 tubs of ice cream.
Diet Coke and ice cream. That sounds like a good.
It was a
EBT
12-pack.
meal.
It was the short, slim 12-pack of Diet Coke.
You know what?
And
I don't know if you can buy ice cream on EBT. And there's certain things you can't buy because they're trying to make you healthier. And that might have been the problem.
She had a fucking $20 bill in her pocket.
Yeah.
So,
because was she driving a Lexus?
No. So
I'm sure you watched the car.
So is the story over? No. About another 10 minutes later, by the time it takes, finally the other cashier came out because she was like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?" Because normally,
Rhonda, we need you at cashier too.
Yeah, she wouldn't have to worry about having the second one there at 4:30 on a Tuesday typically. So when she walked out, she's probably in the back, like, you know, stocking cheese or something, whatever, or sandwiches.
Moving the Red Bull around so Paxton can't find it.
She's like, is Pax coming in? All right, I'm going to move the 16-ounce Red Bull to a whole new
Just the 16 ounce, though, not the rest.
Yeah, not the rest. So I walk outside, and the car that I had pulled up to, which was like a little beater, and there's a guy inside that I'd recognized that had come to the bar a lot before, but I haven't seen him in a while. And I was like, ugh. So I made sure that when I got out of my car, that he didn't notice me.
You had sunglasses
Well, as
on.
I walked back out, she was trying to get in the other side of that car, and her door was completely open, almost touching my car.
So you can't get in your car.
I can't get in my car, and I know she swung it open with no regard for whether she was going to put a big-ass dent in my fucking 2011 Volvo XC90 with 148,000 miles on it.
Shout out to Volvo, great cars. Grew up with Volvos.
So I was like, and as I'm doing that, the dude, he's like, "Oh, Huckapoos." That's all he's ever said to me. He's like, "Hey, Huckapoos." I'm like,
Hey,
PBR. You know what I mean? Like,
that was my assumption, was PBR or Bud Light.
So I walked around the other side of my car and went up behind her. I bumped her on her hip with my hand.
Was it squishy?
And she moved.
Oh, yeah?
I was like, is that all it took? Because I stood there like, excuse me. But she was like, I think she was looking for change or something.
Yeah.
She was digging, or a crack rock.
Yeah, probably a crack rock.
She was digging deep down into the passenger side of that dude's vehicle.
Looking for Virginia Slims.
Looking for her dignity? I don't know. But
Didn't sound like she had a lot of dignity.
But you've held people up in a line before.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
but
saying,
not,
like,
they get held you up twice.
Dude. But you turn around and you address the fucking people. All right.
Yeah.
Before I lost my last debit card, I fucking stuck it in the ATM and forgot to get it out.
I've
so it ate it
before.
But before that, about 25% of the time that I would use the chip, it'd be like chip not read, whatever. So that would hold me up for like 30 extra seconds. And even during those 30 seconds, if anyone was behind me at the store or wherever the fuck ever, I would turn and be like, my bad, you guys.
Yeah. You want to...
Does this all the time.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm not poor, I swear.
Yeah, right. I was like, it's not being declined. It's just like my chip's fucked.
I don't know if I discussed this with you on the podcast or in person about me at the Kroger a few months ago when we went to an island. I usually go to self-checkout, but when you've got a certain amount of things...
If I have a lot of stuff that's from the produce section and all that...
Yeah.
Like, if I have a really wide variety of things...
I'll go to
them, let them fucking do it.
It's the shortest line. There's one woman there. And as I walk up, she starts pushing her cart. She's got a shitload of stuff. And she starts pushing her cart away and is going to go get something else. But she's moving with no sense of urgency. And so I'm like, all right, so she's gone for 5, 6, 7, I don't know, a long enough time where I'm like, so I bag and pack her groceries in another cart. Now, granted, it's her stuff, and she's like, she didn't say, excuse me, y'all, I forgot something, I'll be right back. She just left. She took off and took a cart, so she's moving even slower. She was probably 60.
Was she leaning on the cart? Like to
yeah.
Like it was a cane?
Just moving a little bit. So I don't bag her stuff with a lot of care and concern. Like, I'm putting in, and the longer it takes her to get back, the more I'm really, I folded a cart all the way up, but I'm like putting the bread on the bottom on purpose. So she comes back.
On the bottom.
She comes back and she doesn't say, "Oh my God, I'm sorry, y'all," because now the line is formed and like all my stuff's up there lined up. Like, I've reorganized my own stuff in the most expedient manner to be checked out. Yeah. She doesn't apologize. She doesn't thank me for bagging her stuff, and I'm eye contact staring at her. Yeah. I'm staring at her like I want to fight her when we get outside.
Yeah.
So I just keep staring at her, and she finally is like, she looks in her purse to try to find some coupons, and I'm like. I said out loud, "What the fuck?
Coupons after all of that?
All this. You could have left the coupons when you went to the back."
But of course.
So she is like, oh, "Fine." So she doesn't use the coupons. She checks out. As she gets over to the cart that I shittily packed, she goes, "I guess thanks for bagging my stuff." And so I don't want to cause a conflict because it's going to slow down the cashier.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Yeah, you're good." And so if the cashier checks me out, I'm like, if she's in the fucking parking lot, I'm doing something. So I get to my car, I load my groceries and take my empty cart, and I watch her. As soon as she gets in her front driver's seat, cranks the car, I go run behind her and put my cart right behind her car. And she's like, "What the hell?" And I'm like, "Later, bitch." And just fucking walked away.
Justice.
Karma got her immediately.
Justice. Sometimes you have to force justice in this world.
And I felt so good about it.
Well, I mean.
And if I'd been parked close to her, I wouldn't. Like, I have 2 cars, but one of my cars is unique looking, and it doesn't look like I've never seen another car like it in Savannah. So I'm like, I'm less of a dick when I'm in that car, but I was parked so far from her that she wouldn't be able to see what I was driving. Because if I'd been next to her, I couldn't have done that because I wouldn't want her to retaliate in some way. I've got a nice car. I don't want it scratched or dinged or whatever messed with later on. So
and cost $4,000 to get fixed.
$4,000 while I wasn't there Thursday.
Oh, that's why you weren't there Thursday.
Yeah, because somebody hit my car.
I had so many of my friends be like, "Oh man, that's really exciting what you're doing. You're going to be hosting a show. You're going to be doing a comic." And I had great jokes, Clint.
Did you? I saw the shorts. They looked good. I watched the video. Your girlfriend posted.
But I didn't. It wasn't of the monologue.
No.
You know what I mean? It was just of me doing.
Did somebody record the monologue?
No. I thought so. I thought. If I'm honest, I thought you were going to be there to do it.
I'm not really much of a recorder.
No, but I was like, Clint, well, surely.
Well, I usually work Thursdays, and I took Thursday off to go get my car.
I knew you took Thursday off, but I thought
it's for you. I know. And when you were like coming to time, you was like, I hadn't planned on it.
I was like,
completely skipped my mind.
Yeah,
I know. I felt bad. I apologize. I should have been there.
You're like, nah, man. Support. I was like, you're off work.
Anything that can boost our podcast listening, I don't want to do it. Could have gone and handed out business cards.
I was trying to tell someone we just don't know how to promote it. And they're like, "Oh, you just got to hashtag this and do that." I was like, I do
need to start hashtagging.
I was like, I don't know.
It's in my notes of should we start.
I don't know none of that shit, man.
Well, do you care if I just start hashtagging?
Yeah, hashtag anything.
Okay. Hashtag Crystal Skull Vodka. Hashtag Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, call out to our listeners if
I'm
we
gonna start tagging the liquor. You know,
please help us with our hashtags. I don't know.
If you're on a bad Tinder date, let us know. We almost got a recording, but Rob's like, "I'll just text you." I'm like, "Come on, man."
So after the break, we will come back with that. It was a Bumble date.
There's a Bumble date. Oh, I've got. Hey, Grant Nelson, my man. Thank you for some content. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall. So this late arriving lady.
We're gonna refresh our drinks, and we'll be back right after the break. Cheers.
You get a lot of noise out of the rock.
It's better that we get noise than not get noise. Normally, when we clink glasses, it sounds like a fucking wet fart.
you had the chime in.
Well, cheers and welcome back. We have our drinks refreshed. I have a fresh, salty rim.
Very salty rim.
And so after the break, we always went to our
Karen of the week. It's the Karen of the week.
This week's Karen of the week is brought to you by our friend Grant. Again.
Grant Nelson sponsored Karen of the Week. Find Grant on Bumble in New Orleans. But when you find Grant on Bumble,
Grant Nelson, right?
Grant Nelson. Don't be my Karen of the Week, who is Grant's date. So this is a second-degree Karen, but we'll take this as our first listener submission, I suppose.
Right, yeah. We'll take what we
So Grant, after we found out after the podcast last week, had a date with a woman, a very large-breasted, of Spanish descent woman. She said she had kids. Didn't mention she had like 4 of them, twin boys. Like kids of all living in her house age.
Okay, so because he was talking about Booger Wolf. Now, all right,
Booger Wolves.
Booger Wolves, and he said it, we had mentioned it a couple times last week. So in doing research between then and now, there's 2 definitions. One was a woman who like purposely, or like you're doing awesome in life and she purposely tries to bring you out of it. And then the other definition.
Yeah, it's a female that you meet while getting
awesome.
Awesome. While you're getting awesome, that seduces you in circumstances you would not normally let happen, mostly found on spring break. You should have saw Tom leaving with that Booger Wolf last night. With her and Teen Wolf here, I thought I was in the Thriller video. Thank you, Urban Dictionary.
But so I thought that was when he was saying Booger Wolf. I thought it was in reference to like women who have kids or something like that, because he's got kids.
So I immediately thought hairy situations.
Oh no! See, I thought it was either the Bugaboo thing where it's like they have an ex.
Oh yeah.
So you don't want that is a bugaboo in the Beyonce what was Beyonce's band before?
Destiny's Child.
In the Destiny's Child definition, a bugaboo I think was like if you meet someone and they have a fucking crazy ex.
Yeah.
Male or female, whatever. So his
also known as a scrub, probably,
or a scrub, yeah.
I don't want
no love, yeah. So he's got 2 criteria: no booger wolves, and no women with
he
a bunch
didn't
of
want
children.
kids because the last woman he dated had kids. He doesn't have any kids.
Oh, gotcha.
But he dated a woman previously with kids for a while, and like
he was cool with it.
There's a lot of obstacles that come with that.
Sure, gotcha.
So this Karen, definitely a fucking Karen. She showed up to the date.
She's Spanish. She's a Karin.
Karin, yeah, El Karin. She's Latin X.
Latin K.
So they decided to do it. They were going to do dinner on Thursday. She canceled on that. They decided to do brunch yesterday. So she showed up 45 minutes late. If that's me, I'm instantly turned off. Like, punctuality is important.
Why make the date if you're not going to show up on time?
Yeah, and like punctuality is important, and it could get being a few minutes late, but she also wasn't like ham running behind. It was just like he was just kind of sitting there waiting for her. So she comes in, immediately grabs the cocktail menu, and she ordered a fancy cocktail, like a $15, $16 cocktail. Throughout the meal, she proceeded to go down the cocktail list for 5 craft cocktails at brunch. So she, by the end, is fucking lit.
So this is a brunch.
A brunch.
She's late 45 minutes. Then whatever the cocktail list is, which is like where you upsell every fucking thing.
Oh yeah,
the bee's knees. It's only $16.
Yeah, exactly.
For
the bee's
3
knees.
ounces.
This would be a very especially with that honey. It was like a $30.
Right. Yeah.
So she also was wearing spandex to a date, not yoga pants. He said spandex. Instead, it looked like 4 pumpkins were in her pants, which is, I guess, why in the pictures she had was only like up above big breasts because she was showing those off. But he could tell immediately she'd had
smuggling pumpkins,
as it were. And Grant's not a small guy, not a big. He's probably about 5'9", probably about $170.
But you're saying he was fooled by the pictures?
Yes, because she, good angles, a lot of filters.
She was purporting not being a pumpkin smuggler.
Yes, not being a 4-kid pumpkin smuggler.
Oh man, I'm writing that down. Please
pumpkin smuggler. She shows up. She's got 15, 20 pounds on Grant. Not really, but Grant's, still trying to be. He's a very nice guy. He's being open-minded about it. I'm going to kind of have a good time.
But you're saying he's kind of like out of it right away?
Yeah, because the punctuality. She talks about her kids.
Misrepresentation.
She's getting hammered and going back to where her kids are getting babysat, and she drove, so she's, very responsible. Obviously, she was a bartender. If she's listening, haha. So she, worked her way down the drink list, took pictures of every single dish that she had, and was like forming them around for her Instagram.
She's like, wait, don't eat yet.
Yeah. Like,
I got to take photos.
And like, Grant said, even the bartender didn't like her. Like after like the amount of time, because it was like a bar table.
They're sitting at a bar table.
Yeah. So the bartender was like, ugh. like didn't like her because of just her attitude, the way she talked to the bar. She was a rude service industry person, which makes it again
that's doubly worse.
Yeah, and Grant has never been in the industry, but he's had a lot of friends.
He's just a normally nice guy,
so he knows not to treat your staff like shit. And so she did, all that. Ass too big to wear jeans, obviously. And basically, it just seems like she wanted free food and free drinks for $160 brunch.
Wow.
So Grant threw down $2, take care of the bartender, life lesson. And I guess she kind of went in for something, and Grant was like, nope. Crisp high five, and that's how my man ended the date. Was giving her a high five. Shout out to the high five.
That is baller.
Because nothing says "fuck you" like a high five.
I don't even high five my friends sometimes because it could be disrespectful.
Yeah, I only high five during like sporting event style stuff.
I hug my friends.
Yeah, well, football hugs are weird. Oh, touchdown!
No, stay here. Stay here.
Look, kiss on the cheek.
No, I don't hug.
Oh, they go for two.
You get an extra kiss on the cheek.
Grab the butt cheek for that. I'm going to do that during the first touchdown of the Clemson game. I'm going to find someone and hug them.
Now, it is New Orleans, and people drink a lot down there, right?
He's on the other side of Lake Pontchartrain, so he's like 30 minutes from New Orleans. He's in I can't remember the name of the town.
Was the date in their little town? Or
yeah, it's in their town. They've got, it's probably like.
Is she from there, or is she traveling from
She is from that area. So she grew up in that area.
Well, so now I'm trying to understand this. So, there's one aspect that he can be sure of, that she was like, this Tinder date, if we go to this place, I can order whatever I want.
Yeah. And I think he picked the place because he tried to go, he was going to take her to like a nice restaurant. And I was like, hey man, first date, you don't want to spend a lot of money, but she made sure he spent $200.
But then, as if to be like, hey, thanks for that. Do you want me to give you a little kiss?
That's
or
what I was
or
wondering.
something?
And I guess he was like, no. You get the
that's baller of him
five.
Because some people could be weak and be like, man, she fucking sucks. I know that she purposefully brought me out here just to get
but at least try to get a kiss or something from her.
Right? Yeah. And or they would at least be receptive to it. I spent fucking $200. The least I could do is.
On one of the few bad Tinder dates I went on, I gave the girl the Christian side hug at the end of the date. She went in for a kiss, and the date did not go well the whole time. And she was like,
"And do you think she could not tell that the date wasn't going well?
I think
maybe she's trying to salvage it.
I'm not a fucking dime piece, but I was out of her league.
Oh, I
because she was also heavier than me. She was smuggling pumpkins too, and she had used old pictures, not creative angles, just old pictures. But at the end of the date, I walked her to her car to be polite because we had mutual friends, and I didn't want to ditch her. I wanted to ditch her, but I couldn't because she was in a strategic position in the restaurant where I had to dash past her. But she came in for the kiss, and I was like, "Whoop, little Christian side hug. Leave some room for the Holy Ghost right there."
At least it wasn't a high five, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how demoralizing it would be.
You don't high five a lot of women as a dude,
or ever.
I'm trying to think. My sister and I high five. That's my sister though.
If people want to greet me across the bar sometimes, and I can't walk around, I'll do a hand hug.
Yeah.
You put it
like that. Okay.
And then you close.
Oh, you close the thumb.
You close the thumb.
We do the tickle.
It's a hand, we tickle.
We do the hand tickle.
We're different. That's just what we are.
We go back to tickling. So that's my Karen of the week is Grant's by osmosis. Because hey, thanks for sponsoring the Karen of the week, Grant.
And thanks for the content.
Yeah, thanks for the content. I hate it for you that it went that way, but at least she wasn't was she? Well, I wonder if she was a book of wolf technically by his standards.
I need
to find out. Our conversation last night was a little blurry in my mind.
So I was texting you last night, about what was going to happen today, and there were certain things that you were responding to that I was like, this is sort of out of character for Clint, because you were missing the ends of sentences, and I knew there were some typos.
Very aggressive.
It was super aggressive, and I was like, hey, I was just asking you if we had a Karen for tomorrow or whatever. So then you told me you gave me a little backstory about your day a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was at Huckapoo's at 9:45 yesterday for a dynasty draft.
It is 12:30 right now, and he's fucked up.
Yeah, because I drank. I had one drink at the draft, and then we went to some friends' houses, to Danny and Danielle's house. Shout out if you're finally listening. Danny.
They're never going to listen.
I know. I made him. I took his phone
show.
and made him download it.
Hey, download it. I'm going to click on all the episodes.
Oh, I just subscribed. I downloaded all the episodes. Just the ones I was on, because he had listened before and was like, he couldn't connect well. But now he's like, all right, I'll listen. I'm like, you ride around a truck half the day. Check it out.
All the people that I tell about, I'm like, look, if you do any driving at all,
there's your podcast time.
I get sick of listening. I hear music in my head constantly. So when I'm in the car, a lot of times it bothers other people. Depending on who's in the car with me, I'll be like, all right, we'll listen to some music, fine. But my head is filled with music fucking constantly. So I like to numb out and, listen to podcasts or even like, books on tape.
Yeah, I got podcasts going most of the day. I work out to music, and I get ready for work when I'm at work with music.
If I'm feeling like not pumped or jazzed to go to work.
Yeah.
In the shower, I will crank up some like At the Drive-In or fucking Mars.
Oh yeah, I've got a few getting ready songs.
Yeah.
I got pre-date songs. Yesterday before the draft, Run the Jewels, 9:45 in the morning. Vinny and I are jamming out. I'm like, yeah, audio coffee. Get hyped, which is a bad idea because that draft, like, it's a dynasty draft. We do it for like 7 years now. So, like, if a doctor checked my blood pressure yesterday at 10:45, he would have been like, "You can't ever watch football again.
Ever go to that draft again."
Yeah, it was. It's very intense, very quick.
I did fantasy for a little bit, but the thing was, like, towards the end of the, like, I don't work in an office, and like 80% of the guys that were in the league did work in an office, so they're sitting in front of a computer all day.
They have a lot of time
outside of doing their actual
fantasy
job.
Football, not in any other kind of.
But you can fantasy football all goddamn day because you're sitting at a fucking computer on the internet, and you can like see if he got more than 80 yards versus the Green Bay Packers in July 22nd.
Yep. They don't play football in July.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's why I was so good at the fantasy. But what happened was towards the end of the year, I didn't give up. Like I was still kind of in the running, but I would forget to switch my lineups a little bit, and I'd be playing someone.
That's annoying.
I'd be playing someone in the playoffs, and I wouldn't even be starting my you know what I mean?
I would have hated you.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I want to be hated because of things like that. Yeah,
we kicked somebody out. We kicked. I don't give a fuck. We kicked Kevin Smith out of the league this year.
Yeah,
because he would tank, and so it's a dynasty draft. So you keep your players forever.
Yeah.
So we have a rookie draft. Last place gets first pick. So he would tank to get the first pick once he realized he was losing. And that sucks for a bit because if you're playing somebody and like. If I'm playing, I'm playing Vinny, and then Kevin's playing Danny, and I got to beat Vinny to get into the playoffs, and Danny to outdo Danny, but Danny beats Kevin because Kevin ain't playing nobody, then like he got in cheaply.
Right.
So, and we kicked this motherfucker out. He haven't even contacted anybody to see like what was going on. we put Winky in, which was a bold move. It was AJ and I's idea though, and like.
But he'll care about it.
Well, he wasn't there for the draft because he was going.
He's
to
out of town. Yeah.
So he had somebody else do his picks for him. Should have phoned in. He did okay, but like the year before last, Matt Sullivan couldn't be there. And I was on the phone with him the entire draft, which is hard to do because I'm doing for me and for him. But I didn't need a lot that year, so I was able to do both.
You were in the war room.
And Eric does the bidding when we do the auction because, how Eric wants to run shit.
Oh, is he a ham? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So, but he's like, go on, I'm like, hey, man, there's two of me. Give me double the time while I figure this out.
Right, yeah.
But this year, shout out to Danielle if you are listening again, I guess.
She's not.
She did the board for us, which made it way smoother because usually, like, Eric has to write auction and AJ's keeping, like, there's a lot going on.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah, and I can't do the writing because my handwriting is like I talk, fast and sloppy.
I mean, it's like a fuck.
Yeah, it's like what is it, a sad salad or something? I have last night in my stupor, I make notes to podcast notes to kind of see what what I'm to talk about this week, and so I'll make notes sometimes. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And last night I just wrote sadness salad.
Sadness
salad. I don't know what the fuck. If you know what it is, please email me.
If I could talk to my younger self, I would ask my younger self, what did sad salad mean?
Sadness salad. It sounds like a cool thing, I guess. I don't know.
So I saw a sadness cocktail last night. Well, so there's a buddy of ours that lives down here, and he can be a bit aloof sometimes. Like he's a sweet guy.
Oh yeah,
he's a sweet guy. I'm not going to say his name, but this is my impression of him. Hey man, what if life was in like 3D? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if real life was actually in 3D?
I'm just saying, man. I'll fuck a cactus up right now.
Man, I can't invite no girl over to my house. I haven't even cleaned my commode in the past 2 weeks, man. You can't invite no girl over. If you ain't got a clean commode.
If you don't have a good impression of him, you ain't Tybee. You ain't Tybee if you don't have an impression of this guy.
So I'm working the outside bar yesterday.
On his 19th cell phone for the year, too.
I think we have 4 of his fucking old cell phones stacked up.
I've never met a human being who goes
He loses one once a month at least.
Oh, yeah.
So he had been there kind of all day by the time. I get there at 5, so he had probably been there since like 2 or 3 in that afternoon.
Yeah, I left at noon. He wasn't there then.
So he was. He wasn't there then. Okay, so
no, I left at noon. So there was.
But he was pretty lit, and
he gets lit pretty quick.
He does. Yeah.
I stole his watch one time when he was drunk. Like I took it off his hand.
I
David blamed his watch, and he was like, and I was like, hey man, check this watch out. He was like, that's a pretty cool watch. Got one just like that. I'm like,
I got a time. It's just like that.
I was like, it's your watch. He's like, man, you're like magic. I'm like, oh no.
You're like David
Copperfield.
It was like
8:30 this time too. So.
You ever wonder how someone can get a watch off your arm when you're completely aware of
I
what's
just didn't
going
see it
on?
was coming. I can't believe I went to court drunk.
So he's drinking a High Life, and I can, you can tell when someone's getting close. You're like, all right, let me just be, vigilant whenever they might want it. So it's down to like a third full.
Right.
It's sitting at the outside bar, and we have a little roof over the outside bar, but when it rains, it drips onto the bar in some places.
So you would normally move your beverage away from the drip.
Yeah. But the rain came kind of quick. Like, it was cloudy, but...
It was in spurts yesterday.
But it was just like, blow. Yeah. Like, it all came at once. So it started coming down. There's a little bit of confusion around, everyone's trying to, like, move around or whatever. Well, while this is happening, the wash of the rain coming off of the roof is going directly into his High Life.
So it still tastes like High Life.
So he comes back and he looks around and he looks at it and he was like, I watched it process. He was like, I thought I'd drink more of that beer, but apparently I didn't. So I watched him. I was like, should I? I was like, nah, there's no reason to stop him. Like,
he'll be all right.
He picked up the beer. He's like, because I was like, and then I waited. I was like, he's gonna notice.
It tastes like
because the thing
rainwater.
was with the velocity of it coming off of the roof, like it foamed, like it looked like someone had knocked the beer over,
right?
And then it foamed up at the very top. But I watched it go through his head. He was like, bleep, blurp, bleep, bleep. Yeah, that's fine.
never noticed.
No, I mean, he never said anything. He ordered one more after that.
I remember,
that just bought me like 10 minutes of not having to get him one.
I like nights where he's just super hammered and he'll be like, let me get another red stripe. And I'm like, there's 3 beers in this bar that belong to you. Yeah, there's one down there. There's one over there. There's one over there.
He will order a beer, leave it on the corner over here, walk away and be like, man, I can't find my beer. Let me get it.
Like you're at a house party and someone's drunk, they do that, whatever, but he does it at a bar.
All the fucking time, too.
Yeah, it's not an irregular
thing. Sometimes it'll just be behind his elbow.
I can't find my
He's
beer.
like, man, okay. Well, he'll lose it, and then he'll be like, "What's up, man? I can't get a red stripe."
Yeah, it's right there.
It's right there behind you.
That man.
But so my Darren, there's this guy next to him, and they existed at the same bar for a period of time. But and this is a general Darren as well. But this dude did it yesterday. So if you're at the outside bar, we have outside tables as well. So the guy, like, there's these 2 girls sitting at a table over there. And he's like, hey, man, whenever they're done, I want to take care of their tab. I was like, cool. They're not my table, though. So right. There's the girl whose table it is. Tell her. Like 5 or 10 minutes pass. He's like, hey, man, can I take care of their tab? I was like, I don't have their tab. I don't know it because I'm not serving them. Did you talk to Caitlin? He's like, no. So I was like, all right, this dude's like, he's okay.
It wasn't the previous guy we were talking about. He would have been confused by this.
Yeah, because
perplexed.
Yeah. So I went over to Caitlin. I was like, hey, he wants to take care of their tab whenever they whatever. So he goes over and gives her a tip. And he comes to me and he's like, hey, I gave her a tip just to So I think that he paid her and gave her the tip.
For both of his tabs?
For at least for them, because I still got a tab with him for what he had from me. So I guess they hear about it and they come up and chat with him for a little bit. And then he continues to buy them a few more things or whatever.
So it worked?
Well, not really.
Did he have previous knowledge of them?
No. This is like a complete cold call, really.
Not a bad move, though.
But the thing is, like, this dude's at least in his 50s, and they were at least in their 20s. But the thing is, he's not the type of... he wasn't like, I'm going to get laid.
He wasn't manspreading
waiting on them to come up there and sit in his lap. He wasn't expecting to get laid. Like, he kind of...
He was being a little flirty?
A little flirty, but just like, he just likes to be out and be social. Okay. So they come over and hang out for a little bit.
Did you know this guy before this?
Kind of. He's been in it a few times.
Okay.
But the thing was... So I was like, so he was ready to close out, and I was like, all right, it's X dollars or whatever. And he's like, I want to pay for those 2 girls' tabs. I was like, did you not pay for it with her? He goes, no, I told you I wanted to take care of their tab. I was like, I told you I don't have their fucking tab, so I have to go find the girl.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, did he pay for their tab? She's like, no, he just gave me money for a tip. I was like, well, how much was their tab or whatever? And she was like, this much. I put it on. I charge him. He tips me for his tab.
But not for theirs?
But not for theirs. So, okay. No, but still, I'm saying, if you're going to fucking if you're going to take care of someone else's tab,
You tip.
you're
I mean, I would tip. I've tipped both of you. I would have tipped her and you as well.
you would and see now
Did he
that's
tip like a good percentage on his tab?
that's okay, I guess. But the thing is, it's happened to me before, and typically he was okay, but it's more of the general Darren-ness of Darrenosity, where there'll be people that are like, I want their tab, and then they only tip for theirs, and then the other people, they're like, oh, someone took care of my tab, I'm leaving.
See, if somebody takes care of my tab, I'm tipping.
I tip.
Even if that person tipped, like we get that at work a lot. People will call ahead and buy someone's food, drop a credit card. It's auto 20 unless they specify more. So if I take the phone call, I'm like, you want to leave your server 25%? They're like, yep. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this table, by the way. And then because 50% of the time,
they're going to tip
also tips. You're going to get a lot out of it.
Especially if they're not expecting to have their meal taken care of or whatever.
We don't tell them till the end.
Of course not.
I'm like, hey, your tab's taken care of because that's the way you do it. But usually they also want to, like, oh, can you charge me a penny so they can tip me or whatever?
Yeah. But then you have the other Darren situation, which sort of sparks off of that one. You'll have a guy or whoever. Hey, what do they want? Like, I don't fucking know what they want. Get them something on me. And I'll go and like, they don't need anything right now. They have like a full drink. Well, get them something on me. I'm like, I'll write you down if they end up wanting something else.
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
I can't force drinks on somebody.
And the thing is, they're like, hey, will you tell them that I'm gonna?
They want the notoriety.
I'm not your messenger.
Yeah.
So don't use it like if
That's not my job here. I'm making drinks. I'm not.
If you
I'm
want
not spitting game for you, stranger.
Exactly. Like, don't use me as your fucking go-between, which I don't mind. Like, if people know each other, they're like, hey, there's Ricky. Hey, will you get Ricky a shot for me?
Yeah.
Because they're ordering it for him because they know he just walked in the door and and he always does a shot of Jameson when he walks in the door.
That makes complete sense.
But this fucking cold call shit, and I've had it happen to me before where there would be a guy there. A girl will walk in on the other side. He's like, hey, will you go get her a drink for me? I'm like, all right, fine. She's like, oh, thank you. And then nothing ever happens. Another girl walks in. He's like, hey, will you go grab her a drink for me? And by that time, I'm like, it didn't work the fucking first time.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to work this time. And I'm not going to be...
She's with a guy.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I'm not going to be the one that goes out. So that'll happen. End of the night, I'll be like, your tab is $84. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, don't you remember buying them 2 shots? Them 2 Blue Moons?
Yeah.
Which ones? Who did I buy it? I'm like,
this is not
my fucking $84.
This is your tab,
I don't
sir.
care if you don't fucking tip me or not. Like, let this fucking be over with.
Notice that you're a loser, so whatever
Yeah, right.
you want to do here, buddy.
But then there's certain people like our friend Russ.
Yeah.
Russ Neely.
Russ is a tab picker-upper.
He picks up tabs and he tips like a motherfucker.
Yeah. He's a Kevin Carpenter tipper almost.
Yeah. So it's like, buy your friends drinks. Buy strangers drinks.
But take care of the bartender.
But take care of the fucking bartender.
Because you're also making the bartender do extra work by having to not just make it, but also be like, hey, this has happened,
And when you walk over to people that don't want anything right now, if they got a full beer or a full drink, you're like, hey, he wants to buy you a shot. And they're like, well, what kind of shot? And I'm like, hey, what kind of shot, buddy? He's like, whatever they want. Fireball. They're like, oh, I hate Fireball. They don't like Fireball. Okay, you know what I mean? Like,
your job is
and
not.
now there's 6 other people waiting to get a fucking drink that I know what they're fucking drinking.
Yeah, but you
I'm
can't, 'cause
running
you're
back
trying
and
to be
forth
like,
between you 2 fucking retards.
Beach
Like,
Bum?
come
No.
on. You ever
Cement
had
mixer?
You ever had some kind of tea? You want a green tea, a white tea, a pink tea?
What's a pink tea? Is this
I just
cranberry?
made that up. Yeah, let's just add cranberry to a white tea, and that's pink
There
tea.
you go.
Hey, we just made a drink. What was this called? A night in jalapenos?
A night in
Montezuma. Montezuma's.
A night in Technoctilin?
A night inside chocolate.
A night in Cortez. It'll kill you. This drink will ruin your civilization.
Cortez.
It's really grown on me. I'm really.
I switched.
I was looking at it. I was like, man, should I run down there while he's talking and grab the bottle? See, if y'all don't know, I have to drive like 15 to 20 minutes from here when I leave, so I have to.
But we don't get really drunk on the podcast.
I've left a couple times where I've been like, ugh. Which is now why, like today we had, I bought Publix chicken wings. And it was, if you've ever had Publix hot spicy chicken wings.
Oh, delicious.
Fire.
Delicious.
Fire. So we ate, almost all the flats are gone though.
Because we're both flat guys. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone knows that.
There's like a bunch of, there's like 15 drumsticks and I'm waiting for Travis to wake up. I'll take him to the corner.
Be like, hey, y'all can throw these in the fryer and some
Yeah,
someone.
just rub the breading off there.
The one time that I was like noticeably drunk on here was like our 2nd or 3rd episode, And the computer kept fucking up on the second half of the episode, so we had to restart like 3 times.
So we kept drinking.
We kept drinking, but we had to restart.
That's the one where we were having some word stumbling at the end there.
I was like, so Karen is a lady. She
sucks.
I don't like her.
Right, fuck her. Was that the old fashioned one?
Maybe.
Yeah. And I was leaving, and I was like, I get in the car. I'm like,
it was bourbon based. So yeah.
So I bring a Cliff Bar in the car in case I get pulled over. My strategy is to just start munching this Cliff Bar.
I just left a workout,
which is a terrible dry ass food to eat when you've been drinking. You're like, hello, officer.
I woke up. I was like a teenager. I just have this memory like really ingrained. I got super drunk. It was like, I was like 19 and I wasn't like a great drinker then, but I was pretty good at it. Not great, but I passed out in the back of my buddy's car. And I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I was like, where am I? Okay, I'm in his car. I don't know where they are. And I was like, I'm fucking starving. I'm somewhere on St. Simon's, like near a field somewhere. And he had a fucking bag of flaming hot Cheetos, but the little, like not the puffy ones, but the little crunchy ones.
Yeah, the thin ones.
And I was so fucking hungry.
Oh no!
So I started pounding these things, not realizing that there was no water.
There's nothing in the car, huh?
There's literally nothing in the car.
Not even like an old metal yellow on the floorboard. Nothing. You're just.
So I'm wasted, or like waking up from passing out. I ate half the fucking bag, and like I've never suffered. So then, whether I was, and when you wake up from being passed out, you're thirsty as fuck any fucking ways. Yeah.
I'd have gone and find a spigot on the wall and just drink right out of it.
Dude, we were literally like in a field.
So you had
we were on St. Simon's.
It's time to drink your pee. Gotta do it. Gotta do it.
Let me tell you about the first time I drank my pee. Oh, were you in the war? Were you stuck in the jungle?
I was at home.
No, St. Simon's.
St. Simon's.
1999.
It smelled like the war.
Keg party. Well, cheers, guys. Thank you for listening again this week. This is episode 30. We turned 30.
30! Woo!
And we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for listening.